Here we are with Metabolon for the Spotlight Company of the Month. I, Smriti Bharadwaj, Senior Editor at PharmaShots, welcomes today's guest, Dr. Rohan Hastie, who is the President and CEO of Metabolon. Hi Rohan, how's everything?
Very well, thank you. Appreciate you having us on today.
Yeah, sure. So shall we begin, Rohan?
Please.
So Rohan, please tell us something about yourself.
So I am Rohan Hastie. I am the CEO of the company. I've been in the company for 5 years right now. Spent my whole career in the life sciences industry. Prior to this, I ran the diagnostics division at a company called Hologic, helped grow that into a $1.2 billion franchise for them. Prior to that, came from a strategy consulting background, and prior to that, I did a PhD in molecular genetics for oncology, which was based in the United Kingdom. But my first job I got was with a strategy consultancy firm in London. They moved me to the States, and I've been in the States for the last 22 years, pretty much for the majority of my professional career.
Okay, Rohan, that was interesting to know. So, we would love to know more about the history and journey of your company.
Sure. So actually, our company is actually quite an old company, actually, an old startup, if you would. Our company's actually been around for over 20 years, is what it is. And what we're doing here is we're basically building the next omics revolution, which is referred to as metabolomics. So what does that mean? Well, all living systems are powered by complex biochemical reactions. You are nothing but a big bag of chemical reactions. And we look for the intermediaries and endpoints of those chemical reactions that are small molecule metabolites. And what we've developed is a technology to be able to look at not 1 or 2 or 10 metabolites, but thousands of metabolites in a biological sample. So pretty much taking the study of metabolism and actually creating an omics technology with it. And so the way that I describe this is very similar to, we've studied genes for years, but it wasn't until you gave people the ability to look at thousands of genes did the science and technology in the market of genomics actually be created. Similar to what you're seeing in proteomics today, we've studied proteins for years. It's not until you give people the ability to look at thousands of proteins did the science and discipline and market of proteomics come on. What we've done here is basically create the metabolomics technology, that ability to look at thousands of metabolites in a biological system today. And so, and this is really important. We believe this is a huge unmet need within the market, an area of study that it is today. You know, there's been a maniacal focus on the genome for many, many years now. We've been able to sequence the human genome for over 20 years, and we spend $21 billion a year at looking at genomic technologies and genomic outputs. But you know, actually, the genome is actually really complicated, and we actually don't understand that much about the genome. We probably understand the function of less than 10% of the genes within the genome. And actually, for most diseases today, the genetic contribution is relatively modest, depending on the studies that you look at, you know, 10, 15, maybe 20%. And so actually, you really to understand what is going on within a person, to understand what it means to be healthy and well, but also to understand how somebody develops diseases, you have to look at all of the other elements, downstream elements from the genomics. And what we look at in metabolomics is the output of all of that cellular, organ, and patient activity, if you want to give a really functional readout of what is going on biologically within a patient or within an individual. And so it's taken us a long time to be able to develop the technology to be able to do that in the 20 years that we've been around. We utilize a technology that's referred to as liquid chromatography mass spectrometry, which basically is a technology that separates molecules based on size and then puts them through an instrument that allows us to be able to identify them. And we are the world leaders within the space of LC-MS.
Okay, Rohan. So that sounds really good. So our viewers at PharmaShots would like to know the most innovative product or service of Metabolon.
The most innovative, I think everything that we do is innovative, to be honest with you. We're the only people that have the ability to do this today. So we really are on the forefront of actually generating these biochemical insights that pretty much nobody else really has the ability to do today. And so from our platform, we generate very, very rich data sources that can be applied in multiple areas for our biopharma clients that we have today. We are basically a biomarker discovery engine for whatever application our biopharma customers may have. And so really the most innovative thing that we have is our true platform, the core of what we do to actually identify these molecules, but then have a group of biochemists that can actually interpret what is going on biologically with those molecules today. So I'd say the most innovative thing we have developed is our core platform.
Okay. Yeah, it was really gripping, Rohan. So next, are you planning to expand the footprint of Metabolon in other geographies as well?
We certainly are looking to expand our footprint of Metabolon. We actually have facilities within Research Triangle Park within North Carolina. We're looking to open a facility within the Boston, Massachusetts area. That's naturally one of the major markets for the biopharmaceutical industry, and we want to be co-located with where a good chunk of our customers are today. But we're also looking at international expansion for the business as well. We currently have a lab, a facility, I should say, within the biotech center within Munich, and we'll be looking to put one of our platforms in that facility within the coming 12 months. But we also constantly look at other geographies as well. So we're in discussions with potentially looking at putting something within the United Kingdom for work that we're doing over there as well. So there is a lot of demand and need for the services that we offer. And so being able to service our customers closer to where they are, whether that's within different geographies of the States or internationally indeed, we'll constantly look at expanding our market footprint.
Okay, that sounds amazing, Rohan. So tell us about your recent agreement with Mayo Clinic and what was your objective behind that collaboration?
Yeah, so we're tremendously excited about the deal with the Mayo Clinic that we have today. The Mayo Clinic is one of the leading academic medical centers, not just within the United States, but also globally. We'd actually done some work with them in certain areas, and we helped them with some COVID-19 research work that they were doing, and they became familiar with the data that we generated, and were very impressed with the data and the insights that we could generate today. So we started negotiations with them, discussions with them over 2 years ago now to develop a joint development agreement that will be a broad biomarker discovery agreement to actually help them garner insights into actually 9 diseases initially within that joint development agreement. So these are diseases with a high clinical burden, a high unmet clinical need for diagnosis, stratification, identification of potential therapeutics and so forth. And so we bring our discovery capabilities to them, our biomarker identification capabilities to them. They provide the biological samples, they provide the world-leading clinicians within their therapeutic areas, will work with us actually on the assay and target development side of it. And then we'll actually tech transfer out those assays to them for them to be able to run them, they'll validate themselves and run them within their reference lab system. So we view this as real validation of the clinical utility of metabolomics and our ability to identify clinically relevant biomarkers that can change clinical practice.
Okay, that was credible. So can you shed some light on the important collaborations you had this year?
Yeah, we've got a lot of important collaborations ongoing today. And so we don't just have our services business where we generate these insights for our clients. We're also looking at other ways in which we can help create our own assets or work with people to create our own assets and insights that we can look to potentially sell in the future. And so a lot of those are focused on areas around data access for us to get access to really, really highly curated data sets that allow us to actually generate a lot of insights and discoveries from those data sets that we have. So the other ones that we have, you may have just seen recently, we've just announced an agreement with a partnership with the University of Oxford around Parkinson's. One of the things that I should have noted up front for what we have the ability to do today is the risk of getting most diseases today actually come from your environment, your lifestyle, what you're exposed to, the so-called exposure. It's a huge component of what goes into keeping you healthy and well, but also has a massive impact on the diseases that you develop. So a good example of that is sugar. You taking too much sugar in your diet, it can lead to type 2 diabetes. Another example of that is your microbiome. Your microbiome has a huge impact upon who you are and keeping you healthy and well, but also in modulating or causing certain diseases that you have today. And the microbiome is thought to play a really, really big role within Parkinson's disease. And those microbes, the way they affect the host distally is through the small molecules that they secrete. And so we're very excited about that partnership that we have the University of Oxford to actually help garner insights into what is actually causing Parkinson's and then potentially identify therapeutic areas that we can intervene within. We also have an agreement with King's College of London to perform metabolomics on their Twins UK, their clinical data set, which is really, really interesting. This is one of the largest collections of identical twins that have ever been pulled together. And the purpose of that study is to actually gain insights into the interplay between the gut microbiome and human health. Again, it's a huge, huge component of the generation of multiple diseases and what is referred to as dysbiosis, or changes within the microbiome that we have there. We're actually still working with some very, very large patient cohorts that we're today. The Canadian Longitudinal Study of Aging is one that we just signed another extension agreement with to actually look at many, many, many patients that actually have been followed over time to see what diseases that they develop and what are the changes within their metabolomic profile that are going on to contribute to those disease development processes that we have there. Another one that we have is with the University of Maryland School of Medicine. They actually have something called an Amish research program. That's 10,000 Amish patients that we have that actually really, really call them founder populations. They're actually very, very highly valuable in the identification of genes that are implicated in diseases as well. So we have multiple areas of endeavor and partnerships that we're working on to really help understand the pathogenesis of multiple diseases, but then to identify potential areas of therapeutic intervention to ameliorate the symptoms of many, many of these diseases.
Okay, so I think that was a great attainment for you. Yeah. So our subscribers at PharmaShots would like to know about the technologies on which Metabolon is working on.
So we continue to build out on the technologies that we have today for our clients. And so you can think about our technologies in the volumes of data that we can provide back to our clients today. And so we have our existing platform today that we have that allows us to look at 5,400 metabolites within a biological sample that we can identify biomarkers for our clients from. That is an exceedingly rich data set that we can provide back that really, really lends itself to biological discovery, biomarker discovery, real good basic research and development applications for it. But we're also looking at developing much more focused areas of services for our customers, looking at specific areas of biology, whether that's a particular pathway, whether it's an organ function, or whether that's focused on a particular disease. And we're referring to those as our discovery panels. And instead of looking at 5,400 metabolites, we're looking at anywhere from 50 to 150 metabolites that are associated with those specific areas of biology. We believe that this will be very approachable to our clients and customers and allow them to integrate that very quickly into their own R&D programs that they have ongoing today. We're also going even further with that, of actually moving from what we refer to as our relative quantification platform, which is our discovery platform and our global platform, but then actually now looking at fully quantitative biomarkers that are in these targeted panels that we're developing that give a fully quantitative readout of those metabolites that we're actually looking at. We're also doing that under a change. We have to be advancing our quality system as we've gone on as well to allow us to move into good clinical practice. So those metabolites and those assays can actually be used within the clinic. So we're developing a complete continuum of products and services that actually span the whole value chain of biopharma from the discovery phase all the way through to monitoring post-drug launch.
So Rohan, who do you believe are your biggest competitors and how do we differ from them?
I think, frankly, and say this without all conceit, that we really don't have many competitors within the space that we have today. We are pretty much the preeminent player within the metabolomics market that is out there. There are some small academic labs that are trying to do metabolomics, but really from a commercial perspective, we really are the only player in town. When we think about competition, frankly, we really think about share of there are other areas as to where one can spend their money. We need to convince the marketplace of the utility and the value and the uniqueness, quite frankly, of what biochemistry can provide over some of the other approaches that people are looking at. And we believe when you look at what we've done today, we're up to over 3,000 publications on the work that we've done, very high impact journals, Nature, Cell, PNAS, those types of things that really, really show the utility of what we do and the applicability of it within biomarker discovery processes for it today. So we feel that the future is bright.
Okay. So Rohan, where do you see your company in the coming 5 years?
So I think we see our company in the coming 5 years in multiple areas, quite frankly. I mean, we're really trying to do at the moment is actually put more feet on the street, grow our sales organization, grow our demand generation, to be able to make the world aware that this technology is available to them out there and actually help them implement that technology into their discovery and development processes today. So that is it. Also, looking at that portfolio expansion component, we want to be a soup to nuts wholesale provider within the metabolomics marketplace today for anything that our clients may be looking at that require biochemistry and biochemical insights is what we want to do. We continue to build upon our quality systems. We got ISO 9001 certification. We are College of American Pathologists certified. We are CLIA certified as well. And so actually looking to develop clinical diagnostic tests ourselves and actually help driving those into the marketplace in conjunction with our partners like the Mayo and those types of elements that we have. And we continue to build upon what we do on our technology. We want to get better. We want to get faster. We want to generate new insights. We want to identify new molecules that can be of value to our customers and our clients going forwards as well. And then from a business perspective, look, as an organization, we are a private company, but we always want to keep our options open. There is a potential for the company to go onto the public markets, onto the capital markets. And so we're building an organization with both process systems and the right people that would allow us to become a public entity should we choose to do at some point down the line.
So would you like to discuss some of the strategies that you have implemented at other companies and what impact did they have?
Yeah, look, I think strategies are very highly dependent upon what resources you have. And so if I look back in my past when I've worked for organizations or with groups that have had limited resources, you really have to operate in an area where you think you can be successful without going head to head from a direct competitive perspective. How can you carve out a niche for yourself within a particular market? So, if an example, if I think back to my molecular diagnostic days, we didn't have the resources and the ability to compete against the massive companies like Roche and Abbott, for example, within the reference lab space. So we are actually world leaders within the cytology space. We actually identified a customer segment and develop products that actually could be utilized in that customer segment that were the same products that were being sold by Abbott and Roche, but allowed us to decentralize that testing market into an area where we had a lot of competitive strength. So driving decentralization, moving away from where the major competitive environment is. But when you have a lot more resources that are available to you, you can change your strategies completely. So when you get more size and scale, previously in my job at Hologic, we grew tremendously via acquisition. So not via organic growth, actually by inorganic growth of going out, adding other companies on together to expand your offerings and expand your portfolio. It also allows you to go head to head with some of those other larger competitors there, but also look for areas of weakness that those competitors have and areas of strength that you have. If I think back now, we made quite a large transaction, about a $3.5 billion transaction to move into scale within the molecular diagnostic space at Hologic. But we also had a large women's health franchise in addition to that technology that we added on. Actually, what ended up happening in the future was we were able to basically become one of the preeminent players going head to head against, household names like Roche and Abbott within the molecular diagnostic space by not going head to head with them again from a technology perspective, even though we had great technology. We're actually able to utilize a physician sales force that they didn't have to be able to drive share shift within the marketplace for us, actually created one of the largest molecular diagnostics franchises in the world today. And so where we sit today, we don't have those resources to go, to be able to invest at that level as to what we would like. So we have to be creative in how we go about growing our business today. Thankfully, we are a unique pure play company within the marketplace, and we don't have those competitors as we just previously discussed.
Okay, that sounds great. And I hope that they bring a spectacular change.
Me too.
So Rohan, ending up here, one last question that what do you love to do in your leisure time?
What do I love to do in my leisure time? I'm a massive fan of food, which is thankfully I have to do that three times a day. I'm a huge fan of motorsport. I rode a motorcycle, a big Ducati fan. I also like bicycle riding, and I also like snowboarding in my spare time. And travel. So thankfully I usually combine food, motorcycles, and travel tend to go together. So
that sounds great. Thank you. So thank you, Rohan, for such an informative interview. So I hope our audience and PharmaShots have grabbed a lot from the interview and they will know exactly what Metabolon is doing.
Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So I look forward for another interview with you.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Okay. Okay. Have a nice day, Rohan.
Bye-bye.